did. I wish I never touched anything to begin with.
And it's a topic that's clearly been weighing on Kylie. Just like
the vibe was very teenage boy.
Okay.
And, we just needed a few necessities.
Hollywood fairy tales always have a dark side, and Kylie Jenner just hit hers. For months, her romance with Timothée Chalamet looked flawless from the outside, the perfect mix of high fashion glamour and indie prestige. But behind the polished photos and viral moments, whispers of explosive arguments, emotional strain, and quiet betrayals have started to surface. And now, insiders say Kylie's picture-perfect love story has cracked wide open, revealing a side of the relationship the cameras were never meant to see. From the outside, Kylie Jenner's relationship with Timothée Chalamet had all the makings of a modern-day Hollywood fantasy. She was the billionaire beauty mogul. He was the critically acclaimed actor. Two worlds colliding in a way that felt almost too good to be true. Their appearances were rare, but always perfectly executed. Front row seats at star-studded events, subtle matching details in designer outfits, and moments caught by the cameras that painted them as a flawless, untouchable power couple. It was the kind of pairing gossip outlets dream about, a merger of style, status, and storybook romance. But in Hollywood, perfection is often a mask, and lately that mask has started to slip. Fans, many of whom had been enamored with the novelty of their pairing, began noticing that Kylie's social media presence had shifted. Gone were the playful nods and indirect winks at her relationship status. In their place, polished but oddly detached content, often paired with cryptic captions like "protecting my peace" or "energy speaks louder than words." They were short-pointed and vague enough to be dismissed, but to anyone watching closely, they felt like veiled statements. Timothée's absence from her feed became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just about not posting together. It was the complete lack of acknowledgement, as if the relationship had been carefully erased from her online narrative.
You guys opposite. Oh my God, the list is long, I feel.
How are we opposite? Okay, so I think I'm...
And when the two were spotted in public, the atmosphere was different. Instead of the effortless warmth that had fueled their early headlines, there was a stiffness in the way they interacted. Polite, even cordial, but lacking the spark people had come to expect. Gossip accounts and celebrity forums picked up on it quickly. The whispers started small, claims that the couple was just in different places or focusing on their own projects. But those whispers grew louder, with some alleging that Kylie had been dealing with frustrations for months. Frustrations about how much effort she was putting into keeping the relationship afloat and how little she was getting back.
Kylie Jenner is extremely insecure. And I don't mean that in like a mean way. I just mean all this crap.
For someone like Kylie, who is both highly strategic and deeply protective of her image, these private tensions posed a problem. The public saw a fairy tale, but behind closed doors, she was beginning to feel like the story wasn't hers to control anymore. And according to insiders, that loss of control was exactly what set the stage for what came next. Moments of raw emotion, explosive conversations, and the first real signs that this romance wasn't built to last. Behind the glossy event photos and perfectly timed public appearances, insiders say Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet's relationship...
You should go to the Victoria's Secret show. Kendall's walking. It's a huge surprise and it's a really big deal.
...was far more volatile than it looked. While they projected calm and composure in front of the cameras, sources close to the couple paint a very different picture. One filled with late-night shouting matches, simmering resentment, and an ongoing battle over how their relationship should be handled. At the heart of their tension was a fundamental clash in how they approached fame. Kylie has built her entire empire by understanding the power of visibility. Her career, her businesses, and even her personal brand thrive on being part of the conversation. On Instagram, in tabloids, and on red carpets. Public presence isn't a burden for Kylie.
Kylie Jenner reacts to Travis Scott's comment. Kylie Jenner recently posted a photo of herself to her Instagram, and Travis Scott...
It's her currency. Timothee, on the other hand, comes from the opposite school of thought. He has guarded his personal life since the start of his career, staying deliberately mysterious and avoiding overt PDA. He prefers to let his acting speak for him, keeping romance and work as separate worlds. According to insiders, this difference wasn't just a small disagreement. It was the spark that ignited most of their fights. Kylie reportedly felt hurt and overlooked by Timothee's reluctance to acknowledge her publicly. When she was dropping subtle clues or pushing for joint appearances, he was allegedly pushing back, arguing that too much exposure would hurt his credibility.
Kylie, she was like, oh my God, you're going to Israel? I said, yeah, I'm halfway there right now.
What might have been a minor philosophical difference for other couples turned into a major power struggle for two people whose careers and egos depend on image. Then there was the matter of effort. Sources claim Kylie went out of her way to adjust her life for Timothee, shuffling important meetings, rearranging brand launch schedules, even postponing family gatherings to fit his filming commitments. But when it came time for him to make similar sacrifices, insiders say he was far less flexible. Kylie allegedly began to feel she was pouring energy into a relationship where she wasn't
Game,
getting the
set,
same
match.
I don't want to. Just give it to Lisa.
That imbalance reportedly became one of their most frequent points of contention. Friends who had been around during their early days say the shift was striking. In the beginning, they laughed easily, leaned on each other in conversation, and seemed genuinely captivated by one another. But as the months went on, that lightness faded. You could feel it, one source recalled. One wrong comment and suddenly the mood would change. It went from playful to icy in seconds. Adding fuel to the fire was Kylie's growing discomfort with how the public narrative was playing out. Without Timothee's public displays of affection, it started to look, at least from the outside, like she was chasing him.
And then do a thumbs up if she answers, right?
Okay.
For someone like Kylie, who's used to controlling her relationship's optics and holding the dominant position in the media, that was both unfamiliar and unacceptable. What made these arguments even more dangerous was their unpredictability. They could go weeks without a visible issue, only for tensions to explode over something as small as a missed call or a comment taken the wrong way. And, as every insider knows, in a relationship under the constant glare of celebrity culture, you can only keep that kind of instability hidden for so long before the cracks start to show. And for Kylie, those cracks weren't just threatening her love life.
Just like, why do people think it's okay to talk about me?
They were starting to bleed into the one thing she protects most, her personal image. As tensions between Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet grew, a more unsettling theory began to circulate among insiders and fans alike, that Timothee's intentions in the relationship may not have been purely romantic. From the start, his pairing with Kylie seemed to elevate his visibility in a way no indie film or red carpet could have. Overnight, he went from being a critically respected actor with a loyal niche fan base to a household name featured in mainstream gossip cycles, viral TikTok edits, and the Kardashian-Jenner orbit that dominates pop culture.
Let me start with this obvious question to all of you. You're in a Bob Dylan film.
How does it feel?
That's great. That was good. That was good.
For Kylie, this growing suspicion was more than just idle paranoia. It cut to the heart of their problems. According to sources close to her, Kylie began to feel that the relationship was benefiting Timothée far more than it was benefiting her. Every time they appeared together, his name trended alongside hers, his photos flooded social media, and he reached audiences who had never paid attention to him before. Meanwhile, Kylie, who was used to controlling the narrative, found herself being cast as the supporting act in his publicity wave. There were also moments that raised eyebrows. Insiders recall instances where Timothée was notably absent.
Man, the tweet was, I really couldn't put it into words. That's the closest I could get to expressing how that felt.
During key moments in Kylie's personal and professional life. Yet he seemed available and present for high-profile public events that guaranteed maximum exposure. The pattern to some felt too calculated to be coincidental. He was there for the moments that went viral, but often missing for the ones that actually mattered to her. Then came the whispers from within the entertainment and fashion worlds. Claims that certain appearances had been timed perfectly to align with his movie promotions or endorsement deals. Even fans began to notice the pattern, a cozy date night caught by paparazzi just before a trailer drop, or a glamorous joint sighting in the days leading up to a major press tour.
He sat there and really said that. Bro didn't call himself the greatest. Bro said he wants to be just like the...
Whether intentional or not, the optics painted a picture of someone who knew exactly how to leverage the relationship for career gain. For Kylie, who had already dealt with public relationships that left her feeling used or overshadowed, these suspicions hit hard. The possibility that Timothée's affection was tangled up with professional strategy, whether through conscious calculation or subconscious convenience, created a wedge of mistrust she couldn't ignore. And mistrust is poison in any relationship. Once those doubts take root, every move is questioned, every absence feels deliberate, and every public smile becomes suspect. For Kylie, that realization may have been the point.
I'm sitting in the chair for the Q&A, and then a gravitational force comes out of nowhere and knocks me out of the chair, and I fall back.
Where this love story began to unravel from the inside. For Kylie Jenner, the warning signs had been building for months. Missed calls, awkward silences, and a growing sense that her relationship with Timothée Chalamet was running on uneven ground. But according to those close to her, there came a moment when all of it became too much. The whispers about his motives, the public imbalance in how their romance was portrayed, and the private arguments over priorities had pushed her to the edge. Insiders claim Kylie began expressing her frustration more openly to friends and family. She allegedly confided that she felt drained, like she was giving more energy than she was receiving.
She was the first one actually who told me, my daughter, because she loves Timothée Chalamet.
I'm as inspired by Daniel Day.
For a woman who built her empire by projecting control and composure, admitting that she felt neglected was not easy. But the emotional toll was starting to show. The breaking point reportedly came after a string of incidents where she felt both overlooked and unappreciated. One source described Kylie attending a major personal milestone without Timothée by her side, while seeing him prioritize appearances at high-profile events that happened to align with his career interests. It was like she suddenly realized where she stood on his priority list, the source said. And it wasn't where she wanted to be. These moments weren't just disappointments. They were wake-up calls. Kylie is known for fiercely protecting her emotional boundaries.
Timothée is somebody that I've been really interested in for a long time because I know that his father is French, but that he grew up.
But when those boundaries are crossed repeatedly, she doesn't simply brush it off. She starts making moves. Observers noticed her gradual withdrawal. Fewer public appearances with Timothée, a noticeable shift towards solo outings, and social media posts centered on self-care, independence, and empowerment. Behind the scenes, Kylie was reportedly struggling to reconcile the public image of their relationship with how it actually felt to live in it. The glossy photographs and adoring headlines painted a love story. The reality, she confided, was one of loneliness and constant second-guessing. For Kylie, that emotional breaking point wasn't just about ending arguments. It was about reclaiming her sense of self.
How are you feeling? Are you on cloud nine?
I feel amazing. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, but how are you doing? This is your night!
Just really proud of it.
And once she made that decision internally, those close to her say it was only a matter of time before another powerful force stepped in to protect her mother, Kris Jenner. When Kylie Jenner reaches a point of emotional strain, it's only a matter of time before Kris Jenner takes notice and steps in. As both a mother and one of the sharpest PR minds in the entertainment industry, Kris doesn't wait for situations to spiral. She reads the patterns, assesses the risks, and acts quickly to protect both her daughter's well-being and the family brand. According to insiders, Kris had been aware of the tension between Kylie and Timothée Chalamet for some time.
I can tell immediately these are Timothee's vocals. Wow! Hold on. Already this is giving me chills, like just the start of...
But she initially let her daughter handle it privately. Kylie is fiercely independent, and Kris respects that. But once Kylie began showing visible signs of strain, confiding in family, making subtle changes to her public behavior, Kris reportedly decided the situation had gone far enough. Kris's first concern was Kylie's emotional health. Sources claim she urged her daughter to set firmer boundaries, reminding her that no relationship should leave her feeling depleted. But as the head strategist of the Kardashian-Jenner machine, Kris was also calculating the optics.
I don't want to knock anybody's hustle, but Timothee, that should have stayed in your journal, my friend.
Publicly, Kylie had invested in the image of this relationship, and any shift, whether gradual or sudden, needed to be handled in a way that maintained her power and influence. Behind the scenes, Kris is said to have advised Kylie to scale back joint appearances and focus on projects that placed her front and center, independent of Timothee. This wasn't about sparking breakup rumors. It was about subtly shifting the narrative so that Kylie was in control of the story, rather than reacting to it. The goal, as always, was to ensure Kylie looked like the one making moves, not being left behind. Insiders also suggest Kris began tightening the circle of people who had access to Kylie.
I thought it was crazy. I haven't really spent a lot of time in Miami or Florida, so I don't want to say anything disrespectful, but it just seemed gnarly. It's 2025.
During this time. In situations like this, fewer leaks mean more control over the message. And when Kris Jenner controls the message, the public rarely sees the full chaos happening behind the curtain. This wasn't the first time Kris had to step in and protect one of her daughters from a relationship that was veering off course. And it likely won't be the last. But for Kylie, her mother's involvement signaled something important. This wasn't just a rough patch. This was a situation serious enough to require intervention from the most calculated and influential figure in her life. And as Kris worked on the optics, Kylie and Timothee were having a very different kind of conversation, one that would determine whether this relationship had any future at all.
I don't want to knock anybody's hustle, but Timothee, that should have stayed in your journal, my friend.
Once Kris Jenner stepped in, the dynamic between Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet shifted from subtle tension to urgent decision-making. According to insiders, the couple began holding a series of private, closed-door conversations, meetings that were as emotionally charged as they were critical. These weren't casual check-ins. They were make-or-break moments where both had to decide if the relationship could survive the strain it was under. Sources claim these conversations were often initiated by Kylie, who wanted clarity on where they stood. She allegedly pressed Timothée for more commitment, both emotionally and publicly. For her, it wasn't enough to have a relationship that existed behind the scenes while the public narrative was left to speculation.
That's the first thing I saw this morning.
Wow.
Kylie wanted to feel secure, prioritized and respected, and she wasn't willing to keep chasing after that. Timothee, on the other hand, reportedly pushed back on the idea of making their relationship more public, arguing that his career thrived on a certain level of mystery. While Kylie understood his need for privacy, she allegedly began to see it as a shield, one that allowed him to enjoy the perks of dating her without fully showing up for her in the ways she needed. These meetings weren't always confrontational, but they were intense. One insider described them as emotional negotiations, with moments of vulnerability interrupted by frustration and miscommunication. At times, Kylie is said to have been brought to tears, not from anger alone, but from the exhaustion of feeling like they were stuck in the same cycle. Fans may not have seen the fallout directly, but they noticed changes. After certain periods of public silence, Kylie would post a string of empowering, self-focused content. Luxury outings, family moments, behind-the-scenes shots of her business ventures. Timothee, meanwhile, appeared more in professional settings than personal ones, fueling speculation that their private talks weren't bringing them closer, but quietly creating more distance. Still, both seemed hesitant to pull the plug completely. Insiders believe these secret conversations were an attempt to salvage what was left.
Babe, don't do the green bandana thing. Why, babe? I'm a trendsetter, you know, king of my craft. I gotta represent, you know, I gotta take some.
Or at the very least, to find an amicable way to move forward without igniting a media storm. But as the weeks went on, it became clear that resolution was slipping further out of reach. And that's when Kylie's behavior began to shift. Not just privately, but publicly. It was the beginning of a quiet rebellion that would signal to the world she was no longer willing to play by the same rules. After weeks of tense conversations and unresolved issues, Kylie Jenner seemed to make a subtle but powerful decision. If she couldn't change the way Timothée Chalamet showed up in their relationship, she would change the way she did. And she wouldn't do it with a dramatic announcement or messy breakup post.
Why doesn't Kylie Jenner's second child, Air Webster, look like Travis Scott? Timothée Chalamet's behavior may have
She would do it the Kylie way, through calculated moves, quiet shifts, and a public image that spoke louder than any statement. It started with her appearances. Where fans had once expected her to be at Timothée's side for big moments, Kylie began showing up solo or with her closest allies. She started attending events that highlighted her brand, her family, and her own influence, without any trace of Timothée in the frame. These appearances weren't random. They were powerful reminders that Kylie was her own headline, with or without him. Her social media mirrored that shift. Gone were the subtle nods and couple-adjacent hints.
No wonder Timothée Chalamet always holds Kylie Jenner's hand tightly. The reason behind this is truly admirable.
In their place were bold, confident posts dripping with luxury and independence, glamorous photo shoots, behind-the-scenes business shots, family moments with her kids. Every post sent the same message. She was thriving on her own terms. Some captions were short and pointed. Phrases like energy speaks louder than words or unbothered, sparking fan theories that she was subtly addressing her situation. Insiders say these changes weren't just for show. They reflected Kylie's growing determination to reclaim her power in the relationship and the public narrative. By stepping back from the image of being Timothée's girlfriend, she was reminding both him and the world that she was a self-made mogul.
Did you notice Timothée Chalamet holding Kylie Jenner's hand? No one realized he made 3 romantic gestures to express his loyalty.
Long before this romance entered the picture, fans picked up on it instantly. Comment sections shifted from "Where's Timothée?" to "She's glowing without him" and "Boss moves." Even the gossip blogs began framing their coverage differently, focusing more on Kylie's solo ventures than on the couple narrative that had once dominated headlines. This quiet rebellion wasn't about making Timothée jealous. It was about repositioning herself so that no matter what happened next, she would come out looking strong, independent, and in control. And for someone like Kylie, that's the ultimate power play. But while Kylie was subtly rewriting her own role in this relationship,
why does Timothée Chalamet always seem awkward around Kylie Jenner? Kylie has 3 public habits that he just can't tolerate. First, Kylie...
There was still one last decisive moment on the horizon. A moment that, according to insiders, marked the final straw. Every relationship has a tipping point, and for Kylie Jenner, insiders say that moment came suddenly. An incident that made her realize there was no turning back. After months of tension, subtle shifts, and behind-the-scenes negotiations, the breaking point reportedly came when Timothée Chalamet failed to show up for something Kylie considered deeply important. According to sources, it wasn't just about missing an event. It was about what the absence represented. Kylie had allegedly invited Timothée to a personal milestone that mattered to her. Expecting him to prioritize it the way she had prioritized his big moments. Instead, he reportedly chose to attend a separate engagement tied to his career, one that conveniently came with significant press coverage. For Kylie, it was the clearest sign yet of where she ranked in his world. The fallout from that choice was immediate. Insiders claim Kylie confronted him directly, laying out the imbalance she had been feeling for months. She reportedly told him she was done putting herself second, done feeling like she was giving more than she was getting. The conversation, described by one source as sharp and final, didn't end in screaming.
I know most of you hate to see it, but they do look incredible together. Like, I look forward to seeing...
It ended in cold clarity. From that point on, Kylie's actions spoke volumes. She pulled back entirely from any public connection to Timothee, skipped events they would have normally attended together, and doubled down on her solo branding moves. Every post, every appearance seemed designed to reinforce her independence, as if to make it clear to the world and to him that she was not waiting around for things to change. Fans noticed the shift instantly. The couple narrative fizzled from the headlines, replaced by coverage of Kylie's business wins, family moments, and unapologetic luxury lifestyle. And while neither party made an official announcement,
you want more, I'll give you more. We've got the latest Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner blind item. Let's start with...
The absence of joint sightings made the story easy to read. Whatever was going on between them had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. For Kylie, the final straw wasn't just about one missed night. It was about recognizing that the love story she thought she was living had turned into something else entirely. And once that realization set in, there was no reason to hold on to the illusion any longer. From the outside, Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet's romance looked like a glittering Hollywood fantasy, a merger of two powerful worlds. But behind the curated photos and rare public outings, a very different story was unfolding.
Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet are still going strong as TMZ released a behind-the-scenes video from a Complete Unknown premiere where they were there.
What started as an exciting connection slowly turned into a cycle of arguments, unspoken resentments, and a growing imbalance that Kylie could no longer ignore. Insider whispers of heated confrontations, unfulfilled promises, and moments of emotional neglect painted a picture that was far from the one fans had imagined. Timothée's reluctance to meet her halfway, both in private and in public, clashed with Kylie's need for reciprocity, stability, and presence. The result was a slow erosion of trust and a sharp shift in how she chose to show up for herself. By the time the final straw arrived, Kylie had already begun reclaiming her independence,
Kylie Jenner is allegedly dating Timothée Chalamet, and the internet has gone wild. Now, if this is true, I'm really worried for
stepping back from the role of girlfriend and reminding the world and herself that her worth existed far beyond any relationship. Her quiet rebellion, followed by decisive withdrawal, was her way of taking back control of the narrative. In the end, the breakup didn't need a press statement or a messy public scene. The absence spoke for itself. And if there's one thing Hollywood relationships have proven time and again, it's that the most telling truths are often found in what's no longer being said or seen.